And a movie that a lot more people checked out.
Yep.
Mission Impossible Fallout. Loading up the fist. Let's go.
That was improvised, apparently.
Really?
Yep.
Well,
yeah.
I think we can both agree Henry Cavill was fantastic in this, but
I think this is easily his best role. He was fantastic.
I agree. Do you think it was better than the CGI Superman lip from Justice League?
I think, was that mustache necessary to his role as whatever his name was, Walker?
100% yes.
No, but did he keep it in Rocket? Fuck yeah. No, I was really impressed with Cal. But yeah, overall, this movie, you've been seeing the hype. I think it has, last I checked, 248 positive reviews to 7 negative reviews. So like we said a little earlier, that's consensus from the critics. It also has a series high A cinema score and a series high with the box office, $61.5 million first week. And one last thing, it also has a better audience breakdown, 55% male, as opposed to Rogue Nation, which was over 60. So that's a better thing to see in terms of a more broad audience. So I think people were excited about this movie, and it delivers. It's one of the best action movies I've ever seen, I think, bar none.
Do you think the people that wrote the 7 bad reviews didn't know what movie they were going into?
Yeah, I'd actually love to read them, just because you always see that, right? Like someone gives any movie that's not Oscar bait a bad review for something obvious and dumb. It's we know who Ethan Hunt is. Yeah, maybe he's still not the most layered character in the world.
Right.
It's not a negative to literally anyone who watches this film. That's not why we're there.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a good question. I'd like to follow up on that and see what the hell they said.
Yeah, so this is Mission Impossible 6 movie. It's over a 22-year span, starting in 1996. Mission Impossible, the first one, came out, which, at the time kind of caught Cruise at the peak of his career. He just it was it right before or just after Jerry Maguire? I'm forgetting.
Just before.
And
he also then did Magnolia and Eyes Wide Shut.
Yep.
So it's funny because, obviously anyone who knows movies knows 80s Cruise was awards baity, right? A Few Good Men and Born the 4th of July and
Rain Man.
Yeah, of course. And that's obviously following up the blow up with Risky Business and Top Gun, right? But he stride away from the action stuff after Top Gun. And then Mission Impossible comes out, from Brian De Palma, of all people, too.
Yeah.
And it's all right, now Cruise, the biggest movie star, is finally going to do movie star movies. But then he goes into Magnolia and Eyes Wide Shut. And it's interesting just because, up until now, he hadn't been really playing into that. But then you look at his filmography after Mission Impossible 2, which came out in 2000, when the series gets more action-packed. The first one's more espionage, right? And then he starts making all these action movies, and that's just who Tom Cruise is now, right? He kind of started doing the Liam Neeson late career thing before Liam Neeson did, which I think is kind of funny. But I think this is perhaps the best. It's definitely the best, stab he's done at this so far.
Do you think Mission Impossible is the best franchise or movie franchise out right now?
Yeah, I saw some of those takes going around. If you were going to say best action franchise, I think probably yes, just because if you think about the action franchises, the most successful one is Fast and Furious. But I think the Mission Impossible movies are by and large better.
Definitely.
And I like Fast and Furious. I find them very entertaining, but there's a lot more going on in Mission Impossible. And after that, what action franchises do we have? We have a lot of stuff that's continued from the 80s, like Die Hard or Predator, but a lot Terminator. A lot of those series still have a lot of low points, a lot of bad films. And Mission Impossible, the worst ones, 2. I think most people would agree, is 2, and that's still watchable, still entertaining. Right? It's not like that's Terminator Salvation. So
it's interesting because 2 actually probably had more of influence on what the films are now than
definitely
1. John Woo really brought this action-packed, Cruise hanging off the cliff in the first opening scene. So it kind of set the table for what these movies, the direction they'd overall become. And the scope of it really is 1 was this great beginning. 2, kind of brought in like the huge stunts, and then 3 through 6 have all just got kind of built on themselves, getting better and better, finding the correct pacing, finding like a suaveness to it. You know, you think about like Nation probably being the epitome of that, where they're in the tuxedos in the opera.
That scene's dynamite too.
Amazing. Just fantastic. So it's gotten better and better, and it's kind of almost amazing because Ghost Protocol, I mean, I'm thinking about where these movies kind of fall in like my rankings, and like I think like Ghost Protocol is just above Rogue Nation, and Fallout's probably my number 1, but all 3 of those at any point you could really put over the other, I think. What you like.
And to keep going, I mean, Mission Impossible 306, that's J.J. Abrams' directorial debut. Ghost Protocol 2011 finally comes back. It comes back, and after like a contract negotiation, Cruise gets back into it. And that's by Brad Bird. Yeah, it was his first movie stepping away from animation, right? Post Incredibles. And then Rogue Nation 2015, that's Chris McQuarrie. And, you know, Chris McQuarrie had helped like rewrite Ghost Protocol, and he comes in now and he does Rogue Nation himself. And I think I have Rogue Nation just ahead of GP, but again, they're close. They're both great. And then Chris McQuarrie comes back for Fallout. He's the first returning director in this series of 6 movies, which is pretty unheard of. I mean,
he's worked with Cruise a lot though.
Yeah, I mean, he's worked so much stuff, whether it's directorial debut, or he wrote the script, or he worked on the script of Fish, whether credited or uncredited. He's worked on him with a ton. And it's, you know, we said whether it's the good franchise, I think it's like the 26th highest grossing franchise in the world. Like the 3 Iron Man movies have grossed more than the 6 Mission Impossibles, for example. Yeah. And despite that, yeah, I think it's the best action franchise. I wouldn't say it's the best franchise overall, but yeah, it's so weird that like it keeps getting better like this. And it's not like Fast and Furious, where Fast and Furious is getting better because it's getting more ridiculous and more absurd. That's really not what Mission Impossible is doing, because Fallout, again, we'll get to the movie in a second. Fallout like is so tactful and smart with its frenetic pacing and its set pieces that it just seems like it's like peak blockbuster filmmaking. You know, no one would say Fast 5 is peak blockbuster, despite the fact that I think it's fantastic. You know, so really impressed, and it's really a fascinating series to kind of, you know, take a step back and like look and see how it's progressed.
And like I mentioned before, it embraces what it means to kind of be a movie that you can suspend belief. You can go and just tell a story and have fun. You don't need to, not everything needs to make sense. I mean, you can see Ethan basically get blown up and thrown into a car, and he's just like walks away, gets up 2 seconds later. They're, you know, they wear these ridiculous masks, like even in Fallout, when, I mean, like spoiler, there's a part where, I mean, there's so many like just outlandish and ridiculous things, but it just works because they set the tone that you're just coming in, just enjoy the movie, just enjoy the stunts, and that's really what you come for. I wonder if, you know, going back to those negative reviews, if people were like, there's no way that a mask could be that realistic, or like I would love to see like that sort of stuff, whatever their complaints are.